Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and I got a new pair of gloves today, but they're both lefts, which on the one hand is great, but on the other, it's just not right. Now then, today on my channel, I wanted to take a minute and point out all the problems of Starfield. Now hold your horses. I already know what's going to happen to me if I do this, so first, let me say I do love the game. I think it's a lot of fun. I've played about 100 hours of it. Plus, I already did a video where I talked basically about how awesome it is, and despite everything I'm about to talk about now, I would still recommend everyone at least give this game a chance. However, after playing it for so long, I realize it has a lot of issues as well. Mostly minor, but in a vast majority that once you take a step back and look at it, that's only then do you realize it. So, today we're not going to talk about how awesome the game is. Instead, we're going to take a look at all the real problems with Starfield. So, let's start with something simple, the minor issues. There are no unique guns. Oh, sure, there are various levels of guns, common, uncommon, rare, and legendary. I'm not exactly sure if that's accurately how they're called, but basically you've got the white ones, the blue ones, the purple ones, and the yellow ones. But they're all just higher tier versions of the same guns. There's no legendary one-of-a-kind gun anywhere in the game, at least not that I could find. But if you look at Skyrim's got weapons like the Dawnbreaker, where it's the only one of its kind, or Fallout 4 has the Alien Blaster. See, there's nothing like that here as far as I know, and that's kind of disappointing. They're all just guns that you've seen before, but they'll have a name and they'll have a bunch of stats, but they're pretty much just the same thing you've already seen a bunch of. Next up, there's almost no unique armors in this game. In my playthrough, I found what I think is two. The first one is the Sentinel armor. I'm not even sure if that's unique or not. It was legendary, and then there was the armor of the Mantis, and I can't spoil, but I think there's a third armor in there, but it requires at the end of the game, and I'm not going to spoil it, but otherwise there isn't any other rare unique armor, just upgraded higher tiers of the same armor you've seen before, kind of like the weapons. Again, disappointing. Next up is the fact that there's no real crafting. Oh sure, you could build a base and you can craft components, but you can't really craft your own weapons or armor like in Skyrim. Yet, here we are in the future where anything is possible. I mean, I find it far more likely that I could craft my own gun in Starfield than I could craft my own weapons in Skyrim, but you can't do that here. The game's main story is kind of short. I'm not entirely sure how long it is per se, and yeah, I know I said I have about 100 hours in game, but trust me, those were not on the main story. If I had to guess, I'd say the main story is probably between 20 and 30 hours, but I played around 100, mostly doing side quests and stuff, but it feels like the main story should be bigger, longer. Plus, it's more the running through large dungeons that takes up most of your time when you're playing the story, which you're doing everywhere else anyway, so to me, it's not much to write home about. Now, those are the minor issues with the game that I felt were worth mentioning still. Now we're going to go into the bigger issues, which will take me a little bit longer to get through, so I'm going to try to either speak faster or sum them up. Depends on how I'm feeling. However, if you're finding this channel informative or entertaining, please consider supporting the further growth of my channel. Thank you. Now then, up first is that the game punishes you for being a villain. You can't really be one here. Oh sure, you could act like a space pirate, even join a pirate faction, but joining that faction is very convoluted and needlessly tied to joining another law-abiding faction. Also, all of your companions and the main story quest is filled with good guys, so every time you do something bad, they all hate you. If you happen to get a bounty on your head, you'll be scanned coming into a system and then arrested or attacked, and since your main story is going to take you to every faction at least once, you're going to run into this issue. There is literally no reason to play a villain. It's not even a quick, easy way to make money. It's very punishing to play a villain, so why even bother playing the game a second time as a bad guy when there are almost no advantages or differences in playthrough? When you consider the scope of the game and how massive it is, when you take a step back and look at it, you realize just how empty and pointless a lot of it is. Like window dressing. It's pointless to explore because exploring gives you nothing. It gives you so little XP that it becomes an afterthought or a little blip when you explore a new area because a quest took you there, not because you were looking for something, because again, it's not worth it. There's no real factions, not like in Fallout 4 or Skyrim anyway. I guess Fallout 4 is probably closer, but nothing like Skyrim. There's only 5. Constellation, which is the main story faction who you're pretty much forced to join, the United Colonies or the UC, the Freestar Collective, Ryujin Industries, and the Crimson Fleet. Skyrim had the Assassins, Thieves, Mages, Imperials, Stormcloaks, Adventurers, Vampires, Werewolves, Bards, Blades, Greybeards, and a few more I'm sure. And each of them had unique items, NPCs, quests, dialogues, conflicts, and more. But here? Well, I mean, you've got the Vanguard, but they're just a subsection of the UC, so basically the same thing and doesn't really offer much. The Freestar Collective isn't even joining the Freestar Collective. When you, you just join their, when you join the UC, you can actually become a citizen with them and own the rights to buy property and other stuff. But with Freestar, you basically just join their elite marshals, not the faction itself, and as far as I know, there's no way to do so. But why? Why not allow us to do that? Ryujin Industries is more for a corporate espionage kind of playthrough, and the Crimson Fleet, well, a bunch of pirates that you can only join if you first join the UC. So the factions and their stories and their availability and impact on the game are all very minor and for the most part disappointing in their quest lines and endings. Also, base building is pointless and not needed for the game, not needed at all to complete, or for any other reason really. Not to mention building a base requires so many resources to build that you'll need to max out the storage on your ship just to be able to transport everything, and all for what? To harvest more resources? Every resource is super cheap and can be bought almost anywhere and will regenerate after 48 hours of in-game time, so it's not even necessary for personal reasons to waste all that time and effort building a base that'll do nothing. So not only is it incredibly annoying to build, it doesn't offer you much of a reward for building it other than giving you the best parts for ship customization once you build the landing pad, which also isn't necessary as I'm going to beat the game without ever using those special parts. You're already overpowered using the parts that the game gives you before that, so why would you want to become even more overpowered? It doesn't make any sense. Most of the quests are awful. Some are really good, but mostly it's fetch quests or escort quests and will require half a dozen loading screens because of fast travel, then going into buildings, then going out of buildings to talk to someone, just so you can go back into the building so that you can leave again to fast travel to another planet to talk to someone after going through 4 more doors and loading screens, then backtrack to go all the way back to the person who gave you the fetch quest in the first place. That's how a lot of the quests go in this game. Next up is the lack of real choices or decisions in this game. In my playthrough so far, I've only really come across like 2, maybe 3 major choices that I was allowed to make that would make any kind of difference. I can remember 2, I can't remember 3, but I feel like there's a third one. I'm not going to spoil them, but there were only 2 large choices that I can remember right now that you could make that would have any kind of big effect. And that's really sad and disappointing. Stealth is almost pointless in this game. Only in a few situations was stealth actually needed, so for the majority of my playthrough I never leveled it up because it was unnecessary, until suddenly it was necessary. Then I needed it for that one particular moment of that quest and needed to level it because, well, I never did. So for 90% of the game I didn't need it or use it. Oh sure, you could go all stealth, but why? It would take you 3 times as long to clear out one of the 100 dungeons if you just snuck through the whole thing, all for what? Do you get any kind of reward or achievement for doing it? No. No, you don't. So there's no reason. Having a crew is pointless. There's not a single reason why I needed to go out and hire strangers to run my ship. Absolutely no reason. The companions you get along the way will man the stations necessary, so you don't need to hire anyone. And besides, you're going to want to have companions who feel like close friends or family on your ship, which will take up the spots that you might use for those strangers. Too bad none of your companions have any really good skills for ship systems, and even then, you'd have to get a high enough level to unlock the perk that even allows you to have more than 3 people on your ship at a time. You can build a ship to be badass without even needing a crew, which is what I did. And so why would I waste my time with leveling up that command skill to hire pointless peons to man my ship when I have companions on a badass ship that I just built myself, which everyone is gonna do because you can actually fully customize your ship, so you're gonna want to do that. Now, going more into detail about some of the quests, even the most interesting ones are lackluster because your character doesn't actually do anything worthwhile for most of them. You pretty much just accompany someone who gets to do something worthwhile and you just watch them do it. You kill for them while they get to do all the cool stuff, or you'll hear about something cool happening, but it's not you who's doing it. No matter what, your main objective is almost always to kill everyone and take what they have, one way or another. That's almost every freaking quest in the game, unless it's another fetch quest or a random errand where, like, I don't know, they take a cool idea and turn them into a crappy side quest. For instance, you can go to a Freestar Ranger terminal and accept a super cool sounding quest about a pirate who's a menace. So they want you to go to the system and destroy his ship. But then you fly there, shoot him down in 3 seconds, and that's it. No dialogue, no recognition of what you did, just a blip of credits and experience. Boring, lame, uninventive. But it sounded cool, right? Too bad its execution was severely lacking. Not only that, but some of these quests are just badly designed. They'll have you going from one side of the galaxy to the other side, but since it's so repetitive and boring, you'll just end up fast traveling left and right so you don't waste any time. But by doing this, it kind of kills that initial feeling you had when you first took off in your ship. Like, now all you see when you choose to do it manually is all the time that you're wasting when you could already have been there with the fast travel. And since this happens for 90% of the quests, you're going to find yourself fast traveling more than manually traveling, which means you lose out on enjoying the whole sci-fi experience. I mean, at first it's interesting, but after about 20 hours you start to getting frustrated with the back and forth, and you just start to fast travel all the time. And yeah, 20 hours does seem like a long time. However, these games are supposed to keep you invested and entertained the entire time, not just the first fifth. I mean, I can only enter the same ship, the same docking port, the same city so many frickin' times before I just say screw it and fast travel. Not to mention, again, more loading screens, which wastes more time. If you choose not to fast travel, then you'll have to walk all the way to your ship, hit a loading screen, walk up your ship and sit in your seat with a realistic animation, then go into space, long takeoff animation and loading screen, then manually travel somewhere with another long animation and loading screen, then you land, another long animation and loading screen, get off your seat, animation, walk down your ship to your exit port, loading screen, so you can finally have boots on the ground, then run to wherever you need to go. Then, 6 to 10 loading screens in the dungeon later, you get to repeat the whole process over again to turn in the quest or to take the next one. And God forbid you put in too many levels in your ship, since you can't control where the doors are or the ladders are inside, and holy crap, with the design of this, you could find yourself watching your character go up and down 3 or more ladders in a slow animation of them just going up and down, and not getting the inside of your ship customized the way you want it at all, and it ends up becoming a big maze inside your ship, which is going to make even more time of getting in and out, all because they won't let you choose where to put ladders and doors on the inside when you're customizing the outside. Holy crap. Surveying a planet is not even worth it, in my opinion. I mean, when you arrive at a planet, you can do an overall scan, and that'll pretty much tell you everything you need to know about that planet. But if you do go down to a planet and survey something, it'll give you nothing. Maybe you'll get a little bit of lore, but here's the kicker. Even if you find a cool landscape with some cool ruins or something, the game won't even let you build near this stuff. Even an abandoned base, you can't even build near it. So what's the point? Why have this? Even that little bit of lore is uninteresting and unnecessary. There's no real progression with anything the game considers a faction, and what I mean by that is I mean in the grand scape of things. If you join the Rangers and do their entire quest line, does it change anything? Nope. What about the UC? Nope. So nothing you do, no matter how big it seems in one of these faction main story quests, matters. Nothing changes. You had no effect on anything. It's all superficial and fake and the illusion of purpose. Now, technically, later on in the game, you do get to see the results of what you did, but I'm not going to spoil that either. But even then, who cares? I wanted to see the results of what I was doing while I was playing. Then you've got some conclusions to some quests and how they just don't make any sense at all. Oh no, it's this big corporation guy, and he's been the mastermind behind it all. He wants to bribe me, but I'm a good guy, so I say no. So he attacks, and I'm forced to kill him? But he's level 1 with 2 guards who are also level 5, and I'm level 40, so they die in seconds. I mean, I couldn't even arrest the guy or anything. I couldn't tell the authorities about him. I couldn't, blackmail him into turning himself in. Nothing. I had to kill him. Like, come on. And what's the point in hijacking ships? To sell them? Because you can't scrap them for parts. But here's the kicker on this one. The registration fee for these ships you stole almost costs as much as it does to sell the ship. So, for example, you take this ship from someone. It's not registered. You can't sell it unless it's registered. You can't customize it unless it's registered. The ship sells for 14,000 credits, but its registration is 13,000 credits. So after all this, you only made 1,000 credit profit. I could make that much just selling all the junk on that ship, let alone the whole ship itself. So it's pointless. It's so pointless that I stopped doing it after the first one. So there's all the real problems with Starfield that I could think of at this point, in my opinion. And that's if we ignore the obvious bugs and glitches that normally come from Bethesda games. When they say this game is Skyrim in space, they are wrong. They still have no idea why Skyrim is so popular to this day. Now, I could go into detail about why Skyrim is still so popular even today, 12 years later, but I don't have any more time on this video. This game is grand in scale, but lacking in its details. Your ship becomes the traveling cart from Skyrim. In Skyrim, you could build your own house, and that was 12 years ago, so why should I be impressed with building my own ship now? In Skyrim, you could have children and pets. Not here. I mean, I vaguely heard that you could raise like a farm or something, but that's not the same. In Skyrim, there was a big war with massive battles that actually changed things and redirected the main idea and story of which direction you were going and how you wanted to play. In this game, as far as I found, there was only one massive battle here, and it was kind of lackluster. I wasn't really a part of it, and it wasn't between any of the large, significant factions. It does have an interesting mystery with a fun twist, and it does have a really cool take on New Game Plus, but those are the only things the game has going for it, really. The mass exploration is a bit lackluster and disappointing. The ability to freely travel through space isn't really there. There's no point in the exploration. The ship battles are the same thing over and over again, and once you get to a certain point, it's ridiculously easy. Customizing your ship is the same as building a house in Skyrim. This game has no kind of unique, one-of-a-kind weapons that make you feel like a hero like you did in Skyrim. There are limited factions and boring stories and quests, and, okay, I could keep rambling on, but I think I've said enough, and I think I've made my point, and I don't want to repeat myself. To reiterate, I do not hate this game. I love this game, and I am having a blast playing, and for the most part, it's still a pretty good game with a lot of good going for it. But after playing it for so long, I realize all the things wrong with it when I take a step back, and I, realize from looking outside in just how much is missing or badly designed. I'm hoping that with mods and expansions, the game will become a little bit more epic and legendary, but until then, I really don't see myself replaying it simply because I don't want to have to experience the exact same thing I did all over again because of how little there is in variation or choices that matter or change the world. There's no original one-of-a-kind weapons to collect or armor that you need to struggle for, and once the mystery is revealed and all the main factions completed with no deviations or changes, there's nothing else to do here. One and done. And with a Bethesda game, that's really disappointing. Even the New Game Plus, as unique and interesting as it is, can get old and boring and stale after a few turns. Which, yeah, it might make the game go longer, but nothing else in the game matters. And I don't know. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that was the whole point they were trying to get at, is that nothing you do really matters. I honestly don't know. That's how it feels. So, that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Please don't hate me in the comments below, and remember, this is all just the opinion of me and my brother, who helped me out with this one. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to support my channel by liking and subscribing, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.